TikTok where people were like, how is a Chidima South African, you know? So then people were not happy, or should I say South Africans were not happy, and felt like I wasn't a good representative for South Africa, and I was stealing a South African's spot, which I felt that was really unfair because I am also South African. And closer to the finale, unfortunately, certain things had to happen before, and a statement came out as well, which is the reason why I had to withdraw from the competition.
So for clarity, how are you a South African?
I was born in South Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, to Nigerian parents?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, so that was just basically what happened, and then I got the opportunity to come and represent Nigeria in Miss Universe Nigeria, and that's how
How did that make you feel when you came to Nigeria, knowing that there were other contestants who were ready for that position? Were you received wholeheartedly? Did you feel like some people were not really happy that you were coming to take their spotlight?
I was afraid at first because I saw a lot of comments where people were like, no, the girls had done the process, they've been there before me and everything. But I also feel like it wasn't unfair. I feel I also had my own fair share. I had to do the same process, even though it was a little bit different compared to everybody else, which I definitely understand, and I'm not going to be, unrealistic about it. But I feel like I also had my own fair share, and I feel like I really also did my own part of the job to actually put myself there and make sure that I get that spot as well.
So what was the defining moment for you that propelled you to move forward? Because some people, with what happened in South Africa, they would have given up and said, well, let me just cover my shame. But then again, you came into Nigeria, and you got into the pageants here, and then you moved on to Miss Universe. What was the defining moment for you?
I think for me, as I am a fighter, I don't give up on anything. And
Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. So let's talk about this interview that Chidima Adetshina, the Nigerian beauty queen, the interview that she did in Nigeria. Okay, we have to emphasize Nigeria. You know, there is an obsession that Nigeria has with South Africa, and it's not a healthy one, to be honest, because they be wanting to present South Africa in a bad light, yet half of them want to come to South Africa. It's a strange thing, you know. It really is. So most of the interviews that Chidima is doing end up being about South Africa, what happened in South Africa, how South Africans treated her, and she will definitely, without fail, take an opportunity to present herself as the victim in the story, okay? And I do feel that Nigerians, are taking the opportunity to use that on these interviews to sort of get the interviews to trend. At the same time, they are avoiding talking about the part of the story that is criminal. Nobody is asking her the relevant questions. So let's start with how strange this interview was. Number one, okay? Nigeria has a show called Your View, the same as the show in America called The View, okay? Nigerians will steal the idea, but they won't even change it enough to make it Nigerian, okay? If this show was in South Africa, it probably would be called like Uvolwako. Remember we had the show called Asikhulume, Umbono Wako or something. My Nigerians, they will take it and change a few letters in the name, and that's it. Even the round table kind of a situation is exactly like in The View. But anyway, you guys, we're not there, okay? One, so when they are asking Chidima the questions, there is a point where they get to, she says that she is a South African when she's explaining what happened with her being a part of the finalist, and people started questioning why she was the finalist when her name was Chidima. She says that it wasn't fair because she is South African. Girl, you're not South African. The fact that she's still sitting in interviews saying she's South African, you are not, okay? But that's what she says. So one of the presenters end up calling or asking her, so how are you South African? She says, both my parents are Nigerians. And then it ends there. I was like, these ladies didn't do the research before they did this interview, because if they did, then they would have known that there is more to ask when it comes to that. If Chidima is sitting there doing an interview saying, both my parents are Nigerian, So someone should have asked, so what about the findings of the South African Home Affairs that your mother is Mozambican? What about that? And also, what about the findings that your mother, committed a crime and stole somebody's identity for her to get the legal documents to be South African? Okay, what about that? There is a story there. There's a criminal element to that story that Nigerians conveniently forget about when they do these interviews, because the purpose is to present Chidima as the victim of South Africa. And at this point, honestly, you guys, I don't even see why they're still doing it, because you've got Chidima. She went on to win your Miss Universe Nigeria, went on to also almost win Miss Universe. The obsession with South Africa, what is it about? Okay. Chidima is not South African. Okay. And it does not matter how many interviews she sits on and say, I am South African. You are not South African. That's the reason you are in Nigeria. Okay. So I did feel like the women didn't research, or they intentionally avoided the questions that were going to clarify the situation for the people of Nigeria that have not been following the story in South Africa. I mean, guys, the statement from the Home Affairs Minister is on the internet, very clear as day, as what the findings were when they investigated the matter. So if you are wanting to present a fair interview where the intention is not to present somebody as a victim, even though they are not, then they would have touched on that information. But none of them do. She even goes on to say, this lady, basically, you grew up in South Africa, your friends are South African, you went to the school in South Africa, and practically you're South African. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works in South Africa. Just because you have friends, you went to the school, and yes, we have, legal, routes that you have to take for you to legally be a South African. We don't have people that are practically South Africans, okay? If we had to do that, there's so many other people that are practically South Africans, okay? You have to be legally South African. Listen, you guys. Anyway, I do hope that if this really is on their national TV, they work on that sound, okay? Because your national TV talk show cannot be sounding like Dandomleche channel. It cannot, okay? It cannot. It is not acceptable. It's wild. It's wild that the sound was that bad. But anyway, you guys, listen, it is here on YouTube, the video, The show is called Your View, and Chidima is talking about how she is a victim of South Africa. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it before Pumegona. Share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers. Nginithanda kakhulu.